All Faxination host and device components communicate with the Faxination kernel via HTTP. These components may be local to the kernel, which is typical, or installed remotely on other servers to meet certain deployment goals. The most common use for this feature is to implement remote fax devices. Remote fax devices may be deployed to provide local toll-free fax numbers for inbound faxes, to preserve existing legacy fax numbers during data center consolidation, and to provide least cost routing options across the enterprise. There is no hard-coded limit on the number of remote fax devices that may be attached to a single kernel server, but high-volume scenarios generally demand a load-balanced kernel design. To install a remote host or device connector, simply log into the remote server using the Faxination service account and run the Faxination 2016 installer. Instead of local kernel, select the standalone components option and enter the name or IP address of the main Faxination server. The installer will pull licensing and other information from the Faxination kernel machine to complete the installation. Note that when adding remote hosts and devices to a load-balanced Faxination kernel cluster, you must initially point the installer directly to one of the kernel nodes. When the installation is complete, you can then redirect the remote connector to use the load balancer. Remember that you always want to select the tools when installing a remote device. This will give you the Fenestre Server Administrator. Most remote connector installations will be fax devices used for least cost routing, and the BFax TR Extreme device is the most common. In most cases, the remote connector service will run under the Faxination service account. Remote hosts are also possible, but typically only used when multiple Exchange connectors are required during Exchange migrations. Only one instance of the Faxination MS Exchange connector is allowed per server.